the start sequence button on his steering wheel. He pressed another one by mistake, and that's why the car just kind of crept away rather than full launch control aggressive mode.
Well, then they must have two buttons for this, because if the button is not working and you're still on throttle, because it works with full throttle, then you would have had a lot of wheel spin. So I'm surprised by this one. Second of all, it's a professional driver. I mean, when you're in pole position, you should not push the wrong button. But anyway, these are discussions. Probably the engineer would give me the barking if I would have had this type of excuse. But he won the race, so what's the problem?
Well, let's hear from Rob Huff, 5th in race 1. Very different track, though, for race 2.
So, on a very slippery track here. It's definitely everyone on slick tyres, but there's definitely some damp patches. As before, trying to get as much temperature in the brakes and the tyres, especially those rear tyres, are going to play a crucial part in the first couple of laps of the race, especially on the second part of the circuit where it's still really quite wet and damp. Totally different conditions for the first race, and the setup, obviously, we've not been able to change massively, so not quite sure how that's going to work out for us. Kind of hoping that everyone's in the same boat. We've made a few little changes that we could in the time frame that we had, and fingers crossed that'll give us a bit of a stiffer setup. As you can see, working everything as hard as possible, and just trying to get everything nice and warm, trying to keep relaxed before the countdown for the start. Make sure I get in my start box properly, and turn the launch limiter up for the dry setting, and hopefully we'll get away as well as we did in the last race.
Thank you, Rob. Tom Coronel, a couple of points that Rob raised. First of all, offline wet. If you're coming from the back of the field, that's the bit you might have to use a lot. So that's going to make the job of Loeb and Lopez even harder.
Yeah, it's difficult to overtake because there's one line who is stable and all the others are wet. So you cannot overtake there because it's slower. So there will be some difficulties here for sure.
Cars forming up on the grid. Our grid is complete. All 18 competitors with 2 of the 3 factory Citroens on the back row of the grid are ready to go. Mehdi Bennani and René Munich on the front row. Behind them, Thiago Monteiro and Gianni Morbidelli. The 2 Chevys, east of the spot, black and white. The 2 Hondas, red and white and green. And a slow getaway from Bennani. Or was it? It was another classic Thiago Monteiro. Well, that was a Gabriele Tarquini start from Thiago Monteiro. So he's been taking lessons from the old dog. He leads. Bennani second. Munich is going to be third. Tom Chilton right up the inside. Great start from Chilton, and Borkovic was alongside him. Bit of bumping and boring. The Citroens have already got by the TC2 class. Oh, and big sideways moment from Tarquini, and that was Borkovic inside Chilton. And René Munich, no, Chilton is still there. René Munich and Gianni Morbidelli still there. And oh, around goes Munich. No, that's Morbidelli. Munich was trying to, Morbidelli rather, was trying to take a slightly wider line. Chilton got inside him, and damage, I think, for Tom Chilton's car. He comes off the chicane on a very, oh, that's Norbert Mikulits. All right, so it's too many black cars. Monteiro leads from Bennani, and Munich still in third. Tarquini fourth. Great start from Gabriele. Where was he on the grid? Oh, only 9th, up to 4th place in a couple of corners. But Tom, this massive group behind is going to go a little bit pear-shaped. He's got 2 Citroens in it already. Yeah,
for sure. It's the mixture is interesting because it means that some faster drivers need to make up some places. But it seems like a very strange first 3 corners. My teammate Tom Chilton, I think, was touching in the first corner a few people, and also into the chicane. I think that was Gianni Morbidelli.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and here he is in front.
Yeah, he's in 7th. Citroens. Well, that's Jose Maria Lopez from 17th, in front of Ivan Muller from 10th. Mikulits in trouble. He had a steering arm changed before he went out to the grid. It looks like that might not have been all his problems. Car number 12 is Rob Huff, struggling in the dry.
Lopez had a brilliant start from the back of the grid in 1 lap to P7.
Made up 10 places. Loeb goes by Vallant, who's going very slowly. Huff on the outside, Loeb on the inside, makes up 2 places in 1 corner. Wow, I tell you what, these Citroen drivers really are using every bit of performance the car has got. Let's do some Borkovic. fifth, but the interest is behind. Bits flying off there, off somebody's car, not quite sure whose. Hugo Vallant going very slowly. Norbert Mikulits also struggling. Vallant going backwards fast, I'm afraid. Montero pulling away from Bennani and Munich and Tarquini, and then Borkovic and Chilton. That's your top six. Then Lopez and Muller. And Muller will sit behind Lopez, I think, and allow the Argentine to open the door. Ooh, there you go. As soon as I say that, he tries to pass his teammate anyway. Now, if he hadn't had that lunge, Tom, he might have got past Chilton as well.
Yeah, well, it's already quite impressive how he's overtaking the inside of my teammate's car, because I know what this car is capable of finding the grip, but somehow they have so much more grip on the inside.
Fantastic move from Jose Maria Lopez, passing inside, outside. Now he's lining up Dusan Borkovic, and he will see him coming straight down the inside of the hairpin, and it's Citroen to Citroen contact. And Sebastian Loeb gets his nose in alongside the rear wheel of Ivan Muller, and the door is suddenly closed. Now, is that going to cause problems for Loeb? They spent a day trying to knock bits off the car in testing, so they knew that things like that wouldn't damage them. He should be okay.
Oh, Borkovic goes sideways under the braking. He is losing the rear with Sebastian Loeb on the inside.
And Tom Chilton right behind, and then the bright yellow colours of Hugo Vallant. It looked like Borkovic was just a little off the racing line on the wet stuff, and the tail snapped away from him. Loeb couldn't capitalise in that tight little hairpin corner. On board with Sebastian Loeb, down the Mistral straight. He pulls out from behind Dusan Borkovic, or does he? This is a moment or two ago. Borkovic skating wide, and there was contact with Loeb there. That's the second hit that left front corner of the Citroen has taken. And in the middle of this battle is René Munich, car number 77. He is more than happy to move out the way and let the professionals who are racing for the championship get on with it. He just enjoys driving these cars. He said, I'm not here to make life tough for anybody. And, you know, when you are in a championship battle, having a guy who will get out of the way without holding either driver up is actually great news. Dusan Borkovic, however, is giving Sebastian Loeb a tough time of it. Oh, up the inside, and again he sticks his nose inside, and again Borkovic gives him racing room and survives, and Tom Chilton's getting a run on Loeb, who squeezes him up against the pit wall and cuts him right off. Do you think Sebastian Loeb needs to learn much about touring car racing? I think he's got pretty much what he needs.
It's an aggressive driver. He's really trying. You saw that he tried to put the nose in at the last corner of Borkovic, and he was even locking up the wheels, because when the camera was on his car, you heard...
Yeah. He's been watching some videos and taking some lessons from the best, and oh, Hugo Vallant gets it wrong under braking. Again, Tom, when you're away from the line, maybe just on the curb or the paint, it's so much less grippy, and he just skated wide. Norbert Mikulits tried to get by in the Honda. That Zengo Motorsport car doesn't seem to be as quick as the Castrol cars or the Pro Team car of our race leader, our second place man, Mehdi Bennani. So you've got Honda 1, 2, 3 at the moment as the Citroens work their way through from further down the order.
There was a small coming together between Mikulits and Vallant. He didn't give him any space. He just moved to the outside, and then they touched, and then Mikulits cut the circuit. He went on the side of the tire barrier at the chicane, which to me is no problem, because he was trying to avoid an accident.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the stewards will look at the incident between Tom Chilton and car number 10, Gianni Morbidelli. Morbidelli's now recovering from the tail of the field as we look at the battle for second. Gabriele Tarquini chasing Mehdi Bennani, whose front splitter, of course, he used in Marrakesh, because the rest of Tarquini's car was a bit banana-shaped after being hit by Gianni Morbidelli in free practice.
It's of course a little bit painful to see Bennani here running on second, but until now he's doing a good job.
Well, it's worth underlining, Tom, you know, you guys race hard, but you do get on well out of the car. And I mean, we saw, you know, your conversation with him on the grid in Marrakesh last week, and you know, that's an incident like that is not going to hopefully sour relationships between drivers who get on so well.
No, well, you know how people behave on the circuit. For me, on the circuit and outside the circuit are two completely different things. So, no, I'm not worried. I know it's a reasonable, clever person. Probably in Marrakesh he was a little bit more hot. And yeah, you know, we can have many discussions whose fault it was, but it's over. It doesn't help to discuss it. I'm not here just because of that accident, but I'll be back in Hungary.
Absolutely. Well, Tarquini moves up to second, Bennani in third. So Castrol Honda 1-2. Thiago Monteiro leading Gabriele Tarquini by 3.5 seconds. Fastest lap of the race, though, for the man in fourth place, who is now right with Bennani. Jose Maria Lopez, Ivan Muller with him. Sebastian Loeb in 8th place. Don't forget that Lopez, if they finish as they are, will retake the championship lead from Loeb, who finished second in race 1. And Muller will close a little bit on Loeb, but not on Lopez. It's a fantastic battle of performance going on. Lopez around the outside, squirrely under braking, but Tom, it was like a car in a different class driving around Bennani's Honda then.
Well, I have seen this also in race 1, that Sebastian Loeb was overtaking Huff on the outside of the first corner. You know, that's impressive. That means that the setup must be really a lot stronger than the others, because otherwise that's impossible, because everybody's on the limit in that corner. Looking
back from Bennani, here comes Muller getting alongside. And Bennani, like everybody else, is going to accept the inevitable. He's driven around the outside of me, out of the hairpin. Well, he's going to go by me in a straight line, there's no question about that. If you've got that much in a drag race at the start, then your rival will never catch you back. So Lopez and Muller move up to third and fourth. One Citroën already on the podium from the back row of the grid.
Yeah, but it's quite easy what's going to happen here. Thiago Monteiro is leading the race with 4.5 seconds from Gabriele. So Gabriele now has Lopez and Ivan Muller to take care of, which I think is going to be a difficult task. But for sure, Tarquini will try to keep them behind. But that is in the benefit of Thiago Monteiro, because 4.5 seconds in 11 laps. That's nearly impossible.
Yeah, okay, I would give you that definitely. Tom Chilton, incidentally, in the black Chevrolet, the Capsicum car, back in front of Sebastian Loeb. So he's repassed the Frenchman, and here's where he did it, into the first corner. No contact there. Loeb's camera showing that Chilton dived on the inside, and Loeb just a fraction too late. And we're talking the blink of an eye too late, Tom, not a second or two. It's fractions, hundreds of a second too late. You just overstep the mark by a car length.
This is the battle for second, which will be very interesting. Oh, Tarquini makes a mistake.
Yep, gets
a big one.
Big mistake. Round the outside goes Lopez, round the outside, the other side goes Ivan Muller. They both go by, and I thought Tarquini's chance there was to hold up Lopez, allow Muller to catch Lopez, allow Muller to attack Lopez, which he will want to do to get in front of the Argentine. But as it was, a miscue from Tarquini gave away second place, and you don't see many big mistakes.
Oh, what happened? Oh. There's a safety car.
Safety car is out. Why? All three sectors of the racetrack are yellow.
This is a good possibility for of course Lopez and Muller.
Game over, I'm afraid, for Thiago Monteiro. Not a chance he's going to win a race with Lopez and Muller starting right behind him. Okay, so this is Loeb, Borkovic and Chilton. Whoa! I bet he still finishes the race. Loeb went straight into the tyres. Again, a gap that was there when he turned in wasn't. He did actually have a little bump from Dusan Borkovic, but not from Borkovic's point of view. You know, he didn't push Loeb off on the outside. Loeb tried to cut the corner a little too much. So in the notes there, don't cut. So safety car is out. Bruno Correa employed in the Alfa 4C.
But what's now the situation of Loeb? He's still driving.
Yeah, it's like an Audi. That car's going to finish the race. Safety car is out here in Marrakesh, halfway through the race. This is lap 8 of 16, and Andrea Adamo and the rest of the guys on the Castrol Honda pit wall, Tom Coronel, they've just seen any chance of a win evaporate. There's no way that they're going to run away from the Citroens with no advantage.
No, as the princess of Lopez is, of course, very worried, but I think she should be happy, because now the gap of 4.5 seconds, it just came out as a present from Sebastian Loeb.